Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and welcome to another episode of Coaching Conversations. And I wanted to make you aware of something very cool that we're doing on a subscription basis, and we'll put a link in each one of our episodes. But every Wednesday, we're going to be doing what we call an audio podcast workshop. That workshop will be roughly about 14 to maybe 20 minutes per episode, with each month having a theme from a coaching model, using feedback strategically, to coaching self-awareness, and so on. So if you could look in the body or in the content description of each episode, and you will see a link where you can join this subscription. These are literally 4 workshops every month, teaching specific strategies to address a particular area of workplace coaching, as it relates, again, to things like awareness, motivation, teamwork, and what have you. Here's the cool thing. It's only $10 per month, and each month you will get a handout that we will follow along with. So we also give you a tool for you to take notes as we go through each episode. We hope you'll check it out. I'm about to lead a workshop with a client this morning on emotional intelligence, and we're going to focus on 2 areas: self-awareness and self-regulation. Now, the other areas are very important: empathy, social skills, and motivation. But for my workshop today, I'm going to focus on self-awareness and self-regulation. Here's why. Often, I think the 2 go hand in hand. How often do we meet people who are very resistant? Very resistant. We try to give them feedback and but comes out right away. They push you back. It's not their fault. It's always somebody else's fault. Or they just really struggle to even hear any type of feedback that would help them on a personal development level. Now that is a person, especially when you ask them and tell them or share with them, you tend to come off a little bit resistant and they exhibit the same behavior. That's a person really lacking self-awareness. Then on top of it, the person is also lacking self-regulation, which would assist he or she in their development of self-awareness because they're interruptive, they're disruptive, and they really can't hear. So how do we coach people like this? The one thing that you can do is to use something called a rule of engagement. And then you're going to deploy something called reflective coaching. Now, this is very, very different than most coaching conversations. Now, this is not how you start a conversation. This is something you usually use, for lack of better description, as a last resort or something later on. So let's pretend our employee's name is Charlie. And Charlie is very interruptive, very disruptive. He discounts other people's ideas. And when we try to talk to him, he's very abrupt, or he pushes back, and he doesn't really want to hear anything constructive, certainly about himself. The way you have that conversation is to get very calm and to sit down with Charlie and say, Charlie, we're going to have one of the most unusual conversations. Actually, Charlie, I'm going to have an unusual conversation. And I always go back to, when you're approaching people, especially when it's a tough topic, be a little quirky, be a little different, be a little clumsy. Notice what I did. Actually, Charlie, I'm going to have an interesting conversation. I'm going to share some feedback, and I'm going to share some insight, and I'm going to share some perspective. And one of the most valuable things about hearing things like that, Charlie, is it's really what you do with it. Yet, you've really got to hear it. So what I'm going to do is, I've given this conversation a lot of thought, and I want to be unbelievably fair to you. I'm going to share my thoughts, my perspectives, my observations, my feedback, the opportunities, and then I'm going to ask you to do something, because you're going to have a knee-jerk reaction to interrupt, to share your opinions, potentially to agree with me, potentially to rebuttal me. And I'm going to ask you to not say a thing. I know it's unfair, yet I've given this conversation a lot of time, a lot of thought, and I want to afford you the same opportunity. So what I just did is I demonstrated leveling the playing field. I'm not trying to tell you to shut up. I'm trying to tell you that I want to be fair to you. Now, he still may have that knee-jerk reaction. And you finish the conversation, or at least the instructions for the conversation, with the following. Charlie, even if you want to have the conversation now, I think there's value in you just kind of sitting, reflecting, really digesting the feedback. And I want to share with you that you have an awesome opportunity to really, for lack of a better description, look in the mirror. There are times, not at all times, where you are extremely disruptive and interruptive. And when people try to talk to you, your volume goes up. You become extremely defensive. It may not be your intent. I'm letting you know as a good teammate, a good partner, your boss, whatever you want to say, that is an incredible perception you leave with people. So I want to plant that seed with you. I want to see how you want to let it grow. Now, I know right now, I can tell looking at you, Charlie, you want to have that conversation now. What I'd like to do is wait 3 days. And I want you to just think about what you've heard. Then I want you to answer 2 questions. 1, why did I bring this up? Did I bring it up to upset you? Did I bring it up to put you on the spot? Why did I really bring this up? Here's the second question, Charlie. What are you going to do to successfully counter that perception that I shared with you that you've created going forward? That's a self-actualized question. What are you going to do to successfully, and then fill in the blank? So the fact of the matter is, when you're having someone who's lacking emotional intelligence, lacking self-awareness, we have to a certain degree get them to look in the mirror. And at Progress Coaching, we say one major definition of coaching is 2 steps. 1, it's getting people to look in the mirror. 2, it's getting them to take action on number 1. Very few people do number 1 on their own. So with that being said, you're controlling the conversation. Here's the strategy. Reflection does a wonderful thing. See, when people are triggered and they're in the moment and they're coming back and they're rebuttaling and they're going back at you and they're defending their turf because they're really uncomfortable and their octaves and their volume get higher, what they're really saying is, I don't know how to control this. Time is a great strategic partner in somebody who is lacking self-awareness and certainly lacking self-regulation. I hope this has helped. Thank you for listening to another episode of Coaching Conversations by Tim Hagen and Progress Coaching. Now, our company is always coming out with new and innovative solutions to help leaders coach their employees. And recently, we just created a new service called Coach to You, where leaders can pick and choose topics and assign 7 to 21-day programs for employees to learn and, more importantly, apply actions and then reflect and share what they're going to do going forward as a result of the learning. It's called Coach to You. We're literally bringing coaching to your employees. If you're intrigued, we'll have a link in each one of our episodes where you can get more information. And again, thank you so much for listening to another episode.